So I'm going to step in there. What makes people in those regions, and you say pro-Russian, what made them come up with that conclusion as far back as 2000, probably even before that, but in 2014, what triggered those emotions in those regions of the Ukraine at the time and Crimea? What triggered that to make those people come up with this feeling? Got to remember, Patrick, that most of the audience is coming into this story or this event 4 months ago. They're not coming into this in 2014. And I commend you for telling that story. And I've told it over and over to people that I know a guy that's been in this area since 2014. And they look at me with, what are you talking about, Alex? This is Russia that's gone in there 4 months ago, and they're stealing and taking land. It's hard for you to get that message out to the West, we'll call it the West, since many platforms have cut your crowdfunding off. I know that you've been trying to keep your channel alive, and you've been doing it on a shoestring the last few years. And that's why I always encourage people that like to fund or discover independent journalists, doesn't matter where they are in the world, is to get behind these journalists, these crowdfunded journalists, because they are telling a story. They are not belonging to any organization. The words that they tell are their words. The editing that they do and the teams that they work with are pretty much non-mainstream media collaborations. It's just people wanting to tell that story. You've been telling it for over 8 years. And I've seen systematically a lot of these, we'll call it Silicon Valley companies, that have slowly tried to close the door on you to stay going, but you're a trooper and you continued to get that message out. Without that message out, I don't know what would be getting out to the world. And I'm challenging our viewers again. If you think that Patrick is just talking, all you have to do is look at one of the most impressive video archived proof on what is going on in that region. And of course, compare it to your Western media or whatever media, mainstream media that you want to do. As Patrick always says, watch both sides, come up with your own conclusion. Here's a question that I've really been concerned about, and it goes the following. The Americans, the U.S. keeps sending weapons to Ukraine. Will these weapons help? And have you noticed, have they helped? Or is it a losing situation? Is it just a prolonging the war? Thoughts on
back in January, I first saw not even the first time I personally saw, but one good example was when we saw Western ammunition fired on a civilian electric power station. These are 60 millimeter rounds that clearly came from the West. They didn't necessarily come from this new 4 months lethal aid, as they call it, but the West has been supplying weapons to Ukraine throughout this 8-year war. Now, of course, it's a lot more intense, but one thing can be said is the tax dollars that are paying for these Western weapons to be put in the Ukrainian military hands has killed many civilians. There's no question about this, and has been used to target civilians. I'm not talking about a mistake or something like this. This is something that had done more and more, is the Ukrainian military targeting civilians, and this is a fact. And as far as your other question about why and how and when did the people of Donbass and, say, Crimea decide to be more pro-Russian? Well, the simple answer to that is they didn't decide to. They are Russian. These are ethnically Russian people that are from these areas. These areas only speak the Russian language. This includes Crimea. This includes all of Donbass and other parts of what is still controlled by Ukraine. These areas are Russian areas, and that is a fact.
Patrick, thank you for clarifying that and making it a lot more understandable for our viewers. The other thing that concerns me is that there is so much euphoria to get behind Ukraine to help it conquer Russia. That is what we are hearing here in the mainstream media as everyone changes their profile pictures to the blue and yellow flag. So, Patrick, I just want to reflect on, you're in that zone. You're getting your media actually live, but what is being reported in a lot of these Western media channels is a lot of euphoria behind the president of the Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky. And he keeps saying, and this is his own words, send more aid, send more artillery, send more troops, send more mercenaries. We can win this battle.
I think that talk like that from him is just basically trying to get us farther and closer to World War III. And we all know if there's any open conflict that goes on between Russia and the United States, it's not going to turn out. So I think to a certain, Ukraine is not part of NATO, and them pushing to be part of NATO is what has made this in such a bad situation for them. This thing's just got to play itself out. I think the United States and Western powers are going to continue to supply Ukraine with ammunition and weapons, but as far as getting fully directly involved in the fighting itself, I think it's a stretch, but I hope not for that matter. But this is just a matter of time. Russia's made this an endurance game now, and it's just a matter of time to just keep letting the faucet of land being lost by Ukraine just keep trickling, and eventually the tub will be full of Russian-controlled territory.
We've seen on Sky News, they have military reports each night from some really well-respected analysts that come on the show that have a lot of military analysts, and they at the start for the first 2 or 3 months they were saying they were going over the map and it kept showing Russia getting pushed back. Now it's been actually the map has been either at a standstill or gradually maybe becoming a little bit more clear that this is not going to be over anytime soon. To round up this conversation, I just want to know from a personal level between you and I, how are you holding up in all of this? How's your health? It must be very incredible to see such things where the average person, they see them on TV, it's horrifying enough, but you've walked these streets, you've smelled the air, you can probably smell munitions and other probably things that could make you faint. You've probably seen things. Mentally, this must be playing a pretty large toll on any person. Even seeing one, as they would say, when I was talking with people in the medical field, when I was questioning doctors, asking them about what causes trauma and stuff, and they gave me a good example. They said, when you see car accidents on the road, people drive by, some don't look at it, but then the people that actually stop and look at it of this accident do suffer some sort of traumatic event later on down the line. This must be taking its toll on you mentally, Patrick.
But yeah, it's a fact. PTSD is a thing, and in these situations, it does build inside, and just do your best to control it. But the main thing that's important to me is I was able to get my family out of Donetsk. As I said, we've been living there. My wife is a local. My wife did not want to leave Donetsk without me. But at the beginning of March, when the Tochka hit, the cluster bombs about 200 meters from our apartments, I told my wife, it's time, you've got to leave with the kids. So she went to Russia. And a week later, another Tochka cruise missile hit 100 meters from the home they were in. So then we ended up, they went to, which I hope it's out of range and safe now. But as long as they're safe, that's the main thing that matters. That is what I concentrate most on. I'm just going to continue like that and keep my work and my family as number one priorities and deal with my fallout later.
So instead of asking you what the next step from here is, I'm just going to tell the viewers that you can do it now. Very easy to hit that subscribe button on Patrick Lancaster's channel. I will put a link in the description of his channel. I tell you, we could have Patrick on here for all night. I've got 1,000 questions for him, but I think it's best that our viewers just follow your channel. And don't forget that you are a crowdfunded, freelance, independent journalist who's been doing this for a long time, and since the start of this conflict many years ago, back in 2014. I commend you for your bravery as well, and as a friend, I want you to stay safe where you are. And to the international viewers, once again, we will try to update you in the future here with Patrick's situation and try to get you on a platform where Funny enough, you will not be silenced, as I have noticed with some of the people that have tried to talk about this story on a lot of the Western or Silicon Valley, we'll call it companies, freedom speech platforms. They've actually either been demonetized or actually taken off the platform. There are other platforms that your message can get out, and I think it's time that we share that message, definitely in Asia here as well. Patrick, thank you once again for joining me for this chat. I know you're a busy guy. I want you to stay safe, keep us updated, and anything else you want to tell our viewers, please, you take some time, maybe tell them how to find you, where to find you for now, and how do you donate to your channel. That would be a great help.
First of all, thanks for having me, Alex. I definitely appreciate it, and it's nice seeing you and talking to you again. As far as my channels, my main channel is YouTube for now. Find me just by Patrick Lancaster. And as far as supporting my work, I am, as you said, only crowd-funded, so you can come on Patreon and join my Patreon, or also through Buy Me a Coffee. That's how I'm able to continue my work and show these important stories. So I definitely appreciate everyone that supports my work that way. And I think we could probably put a couple of those links in the
Yes,
description.
no problem.
And we're just going to have to continue on and keep pushing to show the world what's really happening here. So they're not just listening to the Western mainstream narrative. They can get a choice and be able to educate themselves and make their own opinions.
Patrick, thank you very much again.
Okay, cool. Definitely thanks for having me, Alex. In fact, on most social medias, you can find my name as the username. If not my name, it's also at PL News Today. So like on Patreon, you can support my work through Patreon, PL News Today, our Patrick Lancaster. People can find me on Twitter as well at PL News Today. And also people can support my work with Buy Me Coffee. And I think we can put those links in the description. And again, that is the only way I'm able to do my work is through the support of my viewers. This is the best way to do it. I don't have a boss. My only boss is my viewers. And so my responsibility is to show them what they need to see in the facts that are going on here on this side of the line so they can have an idea of what's happening on both sides of the line and watch these reports and make an educated decision on what they want to believe and what they think is the facts. Whether they're right or wrong, at least they have a choice not to be led around like sheep by the Western mainstream media.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And thanks to all the viewers here today. I really appreciate you taking the time. Wow, what a treasure of information to come out on a zone that we very seldom hear on the mainstream media platforms. We heard it here today. And once again, I'm your host, Alex. We're with Patrick Lancaster. We're saying goodbye, and goodbye from the Ukraine. That's where you are right now. You're going to keep us up to date. We can see some exciting videos coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm coming to you here from Kherson, Ukraine, which might possibly be soon Kherson, Russia. We'll have to see.
Okay, thank you very much, Patrick. You have yourself a safe day. Take care.
Bye.